Truth. Military members and their families are being scammed out of more money than the average person. In this Scam Squad report, consumer investigator Jen Pachano, she looks at which scams they are falling victim to.
On average, military consumers are reporting larger losses to scams than civilians, with a median loss of $196 compared to $130 reported by all consumers, according to the BBB Risk Index. That same report says the riskiest scam for all military consumers is online purchase scams, which make up nearly a third of their scams reported. But for active duty service members, investment or cryptocurrency scams are the riskiest, more than 70% of them reporting losses.
Those tend to be scams that there are higher losses, higher monetary losses for. So we have median loss, monetary loss for investment-related scams was $7,000.
Sammy Noctegal with the Federal Trade Commission says a close second when it comes to risk and significant loss is employment scams. So why are service members and their spouses more vulnerable to these?
They have life experiences that are maybe a little bit different than non-service members, and their families have to relocate frequently. Those circumstances, having to move around a lot, oh, now my spouse has to change jobs, find a new job, that can maybe lead to some of these types of scams that are catching hold.
Just this July, online career training company CareerStep LLC was ordered to pay $43.5 million in debt cancellation and cash refunds. The FTC said the company lured consumers, specifically service members and their families, with deceptive ads that falsely touted inflated employment outcomes and promised job placement and partnerships with prominent companies in the healthcare industry that they never followed through with. According to the FTC's complaint, for years, CareerStep lured service members to enroll, and they specifically targeted them through military-focused publications like military.com and through military-sponsored job fairs. Noctegal says deployment can also make military members and families more vulnerable.
And so when you're in a big life change like that, or your family's facing a big life change, it can catch you off guard. You're distracted.
To better protect yourself from these targeted attacks, service members are encouraged to visit militaryconsumer.gov for trusted financial and educational resources. It's a partnership with the FTC, the Department of Defense, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
There's a bit of a silver lining here. While they do report more losses, military members do have a slightly better results rate when it comes to settling complaints via the BBB than your average consumer. In Cleveland, Jen Pachano, 19 News.